They didn't come from space for peace. They came to erase Earth. The sky split open above New York as massive alien warships blotted out the sun. Entire cities went silent in seconds. These weren't invaders looking to conquer. They were here to exterminate. A giant alien army, each soldier stronger than tanks, marched through fire and rubble like gods of destruction. Governments failed. Weapons failed. Hope faded. Then a hammer struck the ground. Thunder answered. A green roar shook the planet. For the first time in years, the Avengers assembled, not for glory, not for politics, but for survival. Iron Man's scanners screamed warnings. Doctor Strange saw only one future where Earth lived. Captain America tightened his grip on the shield, knowing this battle wouldn't end with everyone standing. This wasn't just a war. This was the final test of Earth's might. The sky didn't darken the way storms do. It shut off. Satellites died first. One by one, feeds cut to black. Then every screen on Earth showed the same impossible image, a shadow stretching across the planet, swallowing continents in slow motion. Something enormous was entering orbit. Not a ship, an armada. Panic didn't spread. Panic exploded. Air traffic collapsed within minutes. Oceans churned as gravity bent. The atmosphere screamed under pressure it was never meant to hold. Astronomers didn't argue or calculate. They whispered the same word in different languages: extinction. The first impact wasn't a missile. It was a body. A massive alien construct, alive, armored, and moving, fell through the sky and struck the Pacific Ocean. The impact displaced water like a god punching the planet. Tsunamis raced toward coastlines before alarms could even sound. Then another fell, and another. Giants, hundreds of them, each one taller than skyscrapers, carrying weapons fused into their flesh, eyes burning with cold intelligence. They didn't communicate. They didn't threaten. They advanced. Cities died quietly at first. Power grids collapsed. Emergency lines flooded into silence. Entire military bases were wiped out by a single step from a giant soldier that crushed bunkers like paper. Tanks fired. Missiles launched. Nothing slowed them. The alien giants absorbed explosions, adapted within seconds, and kept moving. In New York, the skyline shook as a giant's foot came down on Fifth Avenue. Streets folded. Buildings snapped. People ran, screamed, vanished beneath rubble. Another giant tore a bridge from its anchors and used it as a weapon, swatting helicopters from the air like insects. This was an invasion strategy. This was harvesting. Deep inside a hidden bunker, alarms screamed as holograms updated in real time. Red zones spread across the globe. Every model reached the same conclusion. Humanity had ours. A man in a worn blue suit stared at the data, jaw tight. Captain America didn't ask how bad it was. He already knew. He only asked one question: who's still alive? Names appeared, some familiar, some missing. Tony Stark was already in the air before the sentence finished. His armor screamed through the clouds, sensors failing to keep up with what they were seeing. The giants weren't just strong, they were learning. Every blast, every tactic, analyzed and countered in seconds. This isn't a war, Tony muttered. It's a system reset. In Norway, thunder cracked the sky as Thor landed amid fire and ice. He took one look at the giants marching through frozen cities and felt something rare tighten in his chest. Even gods knew fear when the universe reminded them they could bleed. In India, reality bent inward as Doctor Strange opened his eyes from meditation, already seeing fragments of futures collapsing like shattered glass. Millions of outcomes. In most, Earth didn't exist by sunrise. He stood slowly. There's no winning, he said to the empty room. Only surviving. The first true resistance came when a giant reached the outskirts of Johannesburg and the ground exploded upward. The Hulk erupted from beneath the earth, slamming into the creature with enough force to crack the sky. The giant staggered. For the first time, one of them reacted. Hulk roared and punched again. The impact echoed across continents, and the giants adjusted. Energy surged through their armor. Muscles shifted. The next blow sent Hulk flying through 3 mountains. He stood up anyway, blood on his teeth, smiling. "Good," he growled. "Now fun." The Avengers didn't assemble in one place. There was no time. They formed across the planet like pressure points, slowing the end 1 second at a time. Black Widow coordinated evacuations under fire. Hawkeye cleared skies filled with alien drones. Wanda's power tore through enemy ranks until the strain bent her to her knees. Still, the giants kept coming. Then one of them stopped, not destroyed. Kneeling, a massive figure larger than the rest stepped forward. Symbols burned across its chest, glowing with ancient authority. When it spoke, the sound didn't travel through air. It vibrated inside the skull. "Earth is obsolete," it said. "Your resistance is statistically irrelevant." It raised its hand, and space itself began to collapse. Doctor Strange arrived just in time, shields flaring as reality cracked. Sweat poured down his face as he held the fracture together. "This is the commander," he said into the comms. "And if it finishes that motion, we're done." Captain America tightened his grip on the shield, standing in front of a world already half broken. "Then we stop it," he said, "or we die trying." Above them, the alien armada repositioned. The planet trembled. And for the first time since the sky went dark, Earth fought back. The giants learned faster than expected. Within minutes of the Avengers engaging, the alien army shifted tactics. Their ranks spread wider, their formations changing with unnatural precision. Where brute force had failed, adaptation took over. Energy frequencies adjusted. Armor plates reconfigured mid-battle. Every Avenger noticed the same terrifying pattern. The longer the fight went on, the harder it became to hurt them. Iron Man barely dodged a beam that sliced clean through a mountain range behind him. "They're updating," Tony said, breath tight. "Like a software patch. Except the patch kills us." Across Europe, Thor hurled Mjolnir with enough force to split the clouds apart. The hammer struck a giant skull, cracking it open with divine lightning. The creature fell, but only for seconds. The fracture sealed itself, molten metal knitting bone and armor together. Thor's expression darkened. "They regenerate." In Wakanda, the ground shook as alien giants advanced on the city's outer shields. Shuri's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and fast. "They are feeding on kinetic and energy output," she said. "The more power we use, the faster they adapt." Bruce Banner replied, already transforming again as another giant tore through a forest. "That's not ideal." Hulk met it head-on, grabbing its arm and twisting until something inside snapped. He slammed the giant into the ground again and again, each impact shaking Wakanda's defenses. The creature responded by hardening its surface, spikes bursting outward. One pierced Hulk's shoulder. He roared in pain, not stopping. For the first time, Hulk was bleeding more than the enemy. Civilians fled through burning streets as alien dropships rained smaller shock troops into the cities. These weren't foot soldiers. They were executioners, fast, precise, merciless. Hawkeye's arrows dropped them from rooftops, while Black Widow fought hand-to-hand in alleyways already collapsing around her. "This is turning into a slaughter," Natasha said. "We're not holding." Doctor Strange hovered above the battlefield, eyes glowing as he cycled through futures faster than thought. His hands shook. "There's a pattern," he said. "They're not here for conquest. They're pruning timelines." Silence hit the comms. Tony asked, "You're saying this is bigger than Earth?" "Yes," Strange replied. "They erase civilizations that become inconvenient." A giant commander raised its arm, and the armada in orbit responded. Beams of compressed gravity punched into the planet, flattening entire regions. A city in South America disappeared from every map in under 5 seconds. Captain America watched the live feed, jaw-locked. He'd seen wars. This wasn't one. "This is genocide," he said. Then the message arrived. Every screen, every frequency, every language at once. "We have evaluated your champions," the alien voice said. "They are inefficient. This world will end in 4 rotations." 4 hours. Panic surged worldwide. Governments collapsed publicly. Faith leaders prayed on live television. Some people cheered the end. Most just cried. Tony Stark landed beside Steve in a smoking ruin that used to be a command center. "Okay," Tony said quietly. "We're outgunned, outnumbered, and the enemy is smarter every minute. I hate to say it, but we need a stupid plan." Steve looked at him. "When have we ever had a smart one?" Doctor Strange joined them, cloak torn, blood on his temple. "There's a convergence point," he said. "Their commanders synchronize through a central signal. If we sever it, their army loses cohesion for a short time." Steve asked, "How short?" Strange answered, "Seconds. Maybe less." "Then seconds are enough," Steve said. They split again, not to fight, but to distract. Thor unleashed storms across entire continents, pulling the giants' attention skyward. Wanda ripped open reality itself, her power tearing holes through armored ranks, until her scream drowned out the explosions. Iron Man flew straight into orbit, dodging alien fire as he targeted the signal relays embedded in the Armada. Hulk charged the largest commander he could find. The alien met him head-on. Their collision sent shockwaves through the planet. Hulk punched. The commander caught his fist, analyzing the muscle structure in real time. "Strength noted," it said. It punched back. Hulk crashed into the ground, buried under miles of earth. For a moment, just a moment, he didn't move. Natasha whispered into the comms, "Banner." The ground erupted. Hulk burst free, eyes glowing brighter than ever, rage pushing past pain, past fear. "No more learning," he roared. He tore the commander apart with his bare hands. At the same time, Iron Man detonated the signal core in orbit. The blast lit up the sky like a second sun. Across the planet, giants staggered. Their movements slowed. Formation broke. Doctor Strange shouted, "Now!" The Avengers didn't hesitate. They hit the enemy with everything they had, before adaptation could catch up. For the first time since the invasion began, the alien army fell back. Not defeated, but shaken. And somewhere beyond the stars, something ancient and powerful noticed. The countdown continued. 3 hours remained. The retreat was a lie. Across the planet, alien giants didn't flee. They repositioned. Their broken formations tightened into new ones, more dangerous, more deliberate. Without the central signal, they didn't become weaker. They became independent. Each unit now thought for itself. Each one hunted differently. Doctor Strange felt it instantly. "They've decentralized," he said, voice strained. "We made them worse." Before anyone could respond, the ground beneath Eastern Asia folded inward. Not collapsed, peeled. Entire layers of earth lifted as something enormous rose from below. A structure. A living machine grown into the planet itself. The giants weren't just soldiers. They were builders. The structure pulsed, anchoring itself into Earth's core. Energy veins spread outward like a disease, tapping tectonic plates, oceans, even the magnetic field. Earth screamed in frequencies humans couldn't hear. Tony's armor struggled to stay airborne. That thing is siphoning planetary output. If it finishes sinking, we're talking extinction-level physics. Captain America stared at the hologram. "Can we destroy it?" Strange swallowed. "Yes, but not from the outside." Silence followed. In Sokovia's ruins, Wanda hovered above the ground, her hands shaking violently. She could feel the structure pulling at her power, resonating with chaos itself. The machine was alive and aware. "It knows me," she whispered. Thor landed beside her, lightning crackling weakly. "Then it will know fear." They moved in teams, faster than thought. Iron Man and Spider-Man breached the structure surface, slipping through openings that closed like wounds behind them. Inside, gravity twisted. Walls breathed. Time stuttered. Peter said, trying to sound brave. "Okay, definitely haunted." Hulk charged from the outside, slamming the structure with everything he had. Each impact slowed the energy draw, buying seconds. The giants responded instantly, dozens swarming him at once. For the first time, Hulk was overwhelmed. They didn't punch him. They anchored him, locking his limbs with gravitational lines, forcing him to his knees. Hulk screamed, muscles tearing as he resisted. Inside the structure, Tony found the core. Not a reactor, a mind. A vast, alien consciousness fused into the machine, processing Earth as raw data. It's thinking, Tony said, and it thinks we're expendable. Dr. Strange opened a portal directly into the heart of the structure, dragging Captain America and Wanda with him. The moment they arrived, reality pushed back. Steve felt his bones strain under invisible pressure. "This place wants us gone," he said. Wanda stepped forward anyway. She reached into the core. The structure reacted violently. Energy surged. Giants across the planet screamed in unison. The machine tried to overwrite her, rewrite her power as fuel. Wanda screamed back. Memories flooded her mind. Loss, rage, fear. She used it all, bending it into a weapon. The structure cracked from the inside, fractures rippling outward. Tony shouted, "She's destabilizing it." Strange replied, "But not fast enough. It's adapting to her." Outside, Thor saw the sky change color. The Armada was charging a planetary strike. One shot, and everything. He looked at Hulk, still restrained, bleeding, roaring defiance. Thor made a choice. Calling the full force of the storm, Thor hurled himself toward the Armada, lightning wrapping his body like armor. He didn't aim for the flagship. He aimed for the weapon charging in its core. Stormbreaker cut through alien metal as he drove deeper, energy building around him until his own body began to burn. The explosion tore the weapon apart before it could fire. Thor fell back toward Earth, trailing smoke and fire, barely conscious. The Armada lost its killing blow. Ships scattered in confusion. Across the planet, the giants froze, disoriented by the psychic shockwave. Inside the structure, the core began to collapse. Steve shouted, "Wanda, now." She released everything. The structure imploded, energy folding inward until nothing remained. The ground settled. The pull on Earth's core vanished. Hulk broke free, collapsing to one knee, exhausted but alive. Thor crashed into a Norwegian fjord, Stormbreaker still clutched in his hand. He didn't move for a long moment. Then slowly, painfully, he rose. The planet went quiet, but not for long. The alien commander's voice returned, calm, almost curious. "Sacrifice noted," it said. "Escalation authorized." Space tore open above Earth. Something far larger than an armada began to emerge, and the war entered its final phase. Earth didn't have time to process what was coming. The sky fractured like glass, and what came through wasn't a fleet, it was a presence. Space bent inward as an enormous entity emerged, its form too vast to fully register. Layers of armor wrapped around a core of living energy. The remaining alien giants dropped to one knee across the planet, their heads bowed in absolute submission. Dr. Strange felt his lungs seize. "That's not a commander," he said. "That's what they worship." The entity didn't speak at first. It observed. Oceans pulled toward it. The planet's magnetic field flickered like a dying heartbeat. Mountains cracked under gravitational pressure that shouldn't exist. Iron Man's HUD filled with impossible numbers. Tony said quietly, "That thing could crack Earth by breathing wrong." Captain America stood amid ruins, shield scarred, bloodied, but unbroken. "Then, we don't give it the chance." Wanda hovered nearby, drained, eyes hollow from what she'd already given. Hulk breathed heavily, every movement pain. Thor limped toward them, burned and broken, but still standing. Natasha and Clint regrouped what little resistance remained. This wasn't an army anymore. It was a last stand. The entity finally moved. A single gesture erased a mountain range. Shockwaves rippled through continents. Cities lost gravity for seconds. People floated, screamed, then crashed back down as physics snapped into place. Bruce Banner whispered inside Hulk's mind, "This is extinction." Dr. Strange opened portals faster than thought, evacuating what populations he could, burning through magic at a suicidal pace. Every future he checked collapsed at the same moment, when the entity fully synchronized with Earth. "There's one path," Strange said, barely standing. "And it's worse than death." Tony looked at him. "I hate when you say that." The entity draws power from planetary anchors. Strange continued. If someone enters its core and disrupts the bond from within, Earth survives. Steve asked quietly, and the someone doesn't come back. Silence hit harder than any explosion. Wanda stepped forward. I've already lost everything, she said. Let me. Steve cut in firmly. No, you've given enough. Hulk growled. Hulk go. Tony shook his head. Big guy, even you wouldn't survive that radiation. Thor stepped forward, still smoking from his fall. I have faced worse. You can barely stand, Natasha said. None of US can make that trip. Steve looked at the sky. He thought of Brooklyn, of Peggy, of every choice that had led him here. I can, he said. Tony grabbed his arm. Steve, don't. There isn't another way, Steve replied gently. There never is. Before anyone could stop him, Dr. Strange opened a portal directly into the heart of the entity. Energy poured out like a star being born. Steve stepped through. Inside, time slowed. Memories flashed. His mother's voice, Bucky's laugh. The first time he held the shield. The entity tried to break him, not with force, but with certainty. You are insignificant, it said. Your species ends. Steve raised his shield, body burning under pressure that crushed moons. I can do this all day, he said. He drove the shield into the core. Outside, the sky went white. The entity screamed, not in pain, but in shock. Its grip on Earth shattered. The planetary anchors failed simultaneously. Gravity normalized. Oceans settled. The entity collapsed inward, folding into itself until nothing remained but silence. Steve Rogers did not return. Earth lived. Hours passed before anyone moved. Tony stood alone, holding the shield that had fallen through the portal just before it closed. His hands shook. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Natasha sat in the rubble, staring at nothing. Clint stood beside her, one hand on her shoulder. Wanda cried without sound, her power flickering weakly around her fingers. Thor knelt in the ash, Stormbreaker planted in the ground before him. He had known many warriors. He had never known one braver. Hulk sat motionless, shrinking slowly back into Bruce Banner. Bruce looked at his hands, then at the sky, then at the space where Steve had been. He didn't hesitate. Bruce said quietly, not even for a second. Dr. Strange closed his eyes and looked into what remained of possible futures. He saw rebuilding. He saw hope. He saw scars that would never fully heal. And he saw something else. Far beyond the stars, in the space between galaxies, something ancient had witnessed the battle. It had seen the entity fall. It had seen the small, fragile planet survive. It had taken note. Strange opened his eyes. They know about us now, he said. All of them. Tony looked up, jaw tight. Good. Let them come. The sun broke through the ash and smoke, touching the ruins of New York for the first time in days. Survivors emerged from shelters, blinking in the light. Children held their parents' hands. People wept openly, not from fear, but from relief. Earth had survived. The Avengers stood amid the wreckage, battered and broken, fewer than before. They didn't celebrate. They didn't speak of victory. They simply stood. Because somewhere out there, in the infinite darkness between stars, something was watching. And when it came, they would be ready. The war was over. The next one was already beginning.